We turn to our panel of experts for their take on where to invest in this market.
Yu-Dee Chang is the chief trader at Ace Investment Strategists, and Keith Fitzgerald is the chief investment strategist for MoneyMorning.com. They join us now with some picks. And first, I want to start with you, Keith, on overall just the market. Overall in September, so many bearish calls. September is always a horrible month. Now we're starting to hear a couple of folks say maybe September is going to be okay.
Well, it's devil in the details is what it comes down to. The market, to me, I'm very, very cautious in here. We're on very thin volume. It's the end of the summer. A lot of traders are still out on holiday. We haven't seen the fall window dressing period get started yet. So I really want to take a careful look at anything I would consider as an investor today. The bottom could drop out just as easily as we could rise, and that's the tough part right now. You can't really get long and you can't really get short. There's a lot to sort out in Washington.
Really, Yu-Dee? Are you long, short? Sounds like you're liking certain areas of this globe.
Yeah, I don't know about the U.S., but I'm definitely long China. Liz, I was just there earlier this month. I'm looking at the cities, not even the major cities. Think about a city about 60 miles away, south of Shanghai. It's a small city. They look at Shanghai and saying that, hey, I want the hospitals, I want the shopping centers, I want the 8 beltways that Shanghai has. By the way, how big is that city? I don't know. That city is having about 3.5 million people. Well, how big is that? LA has about 3.8 million people. I like China.
Yeah, well, you certainly have some
picks.
Well,
I do too. I mean, I'm there 4 or 5 times a year. It's a great place to go. That's the one place on the planet that, believe it or not, still has adult supervision. It's a good place to invest. It's
a good place to invest, Keith, but you've got some other picks, and I want to get to them with you, Keith, if we can. In particular, you like PIMCO, the PIMCO Strategic Global Government Fund. I want to get more to that one. You also like Kinder Morgan and Ridex. But talk to me about the PIMCO pick.
Well, it's an interesting thing. Even though I don't agree with it, the government has made it very clear that it's going to pull out all the stops, the kitchen sink, maybe the dog, and even an old pickup truck to support this economy. And if that's the case, then you got to believe that a combination of U.S. bonds as well as international bonds is going to be backed up by other central bankers who think similarly. It's a careful bet, but it's a high income play, and that's why I like it. You can get income off of it, relative stability versus the market, and that's where investors need to be right now.
Yu-Dee's all Red Bulled out about China, geeked up and excited. So let's get to your China picks in a way that the investor here in the U.S. might be able to play it. We put it up on the screen, and you can see you've got some iShares, Claymore China Technology Fund, along with the Alpha Shares China Small Cap. If I had to pick one of these, which should it be in my portfolio if I've got a decent time horizon here of about 10 years?
Well, if you ask me, I think the a little bit more speculative is the last one. It's the HOA. It's the small cap shares. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit more diversified. 157 stocks in there. This year, despite the fact that the entire Shanghai index is down about 19% year to date, that small cap ETF is actually up about 8% for the year. I think most people know the first one, XFI, which are the pretty much the large cap stocks. But I think a word of caution there as well is that about 47% of the weighting of that ETF is basically in the Chinese financials. So if you ask me, probably the better way is to really diversify into all three. The first one is the large cap. The middle one, the CQQQ, is the technology shares. And of course, getting a little bit of the so-called small cap on the HOA. And don't forget, there's about over 100 stocks, Chinese stocks, that's actually listed in the U.S. So basically, you can really go find the sectors you like, such as the energies or the petrols, and then actually invest and buy the U.S. Listed stocks too.
Head to the NASDAQ. They're right there for you. Yu-Dee Chang and Keith Fitzgerald. Thank you, gentlemen. Great
Have a good
picks.
weekend.
Very interesting.
Guys, thanks. YouTube profit.